This is Aliko Dangote, the richest man in Africa and also the richest black person in the world. He has an estimated net worth of $13 billion. He is the founder and chairman of the Dangote Group, the largest conglomerate in West Africa. Aliko Dangote made his fortune by importing and selling agricultural commodities, and later through manufacturing, consumer goods, and oil and gas. Later this year, he's set to start operations on his oil refinery, which would be the largest single-train refinery in the world. The name Dangote should not be new to you, especially if you're from the continent of Africa. We all know of his achievements and philanthropic works, but today, I want us to go back to the beginning, how he made his wealth, the controversies surrounding his rise to fortune, and some of the lessons we can take from his story. This is the story of how Aliko Dangote turned a local commodities trading business into a multi-billion-dollar corporation. This story begins in Kano, Nigeria, where Dangote was born to Mohammed Dangote and Maria Sanusi Dantata, the daughter of Sanusi Dantata. Dangote grew up in an environment that facilitated an entrepreneurial mindset. His maternal great-grandfather, Al-Hassan Dantata, was the richest man in West Africa at the time of his death. His grandfather, Sanusi Dantata, was once Kano's richest man, earning a living by selling commodities. His father was also a business associate of Sanusi Dantata.
I came from a wealthy family. My late great-grandfather in the 1940s was actually the richest West African. My late grandfather was one of the wealthiest Nigerian. The family name is Dantata. That's from my maternal side. My father too, was fairly rich, but he was both, in business and also in politics.
At 8 years old, Dangote lost his dad and was raised by his grandfather. Dangote went to Egypt to do his bachelor's degree in business studies and administration at Al-Azhar University after graduating from Government College, Benin, Kudu. At 20, he graduated and came back to Nigeria to work with his uncle. His uncle gave him a loan of 500,000 naira. Back in 1977, that was a lot of money. He moved to Lagos and started trading cement locally. That is, buying in trucks and reselling to others for profit. This business was going well, but he decided to stop the cement business. He went into importing sugar, rice, and other commodities. Two of his main imports were rice from Thailand and sugar from Brazil. In 1997, Dangote decided to produce some of the commodities he had been importing and selling. Today, Dangote owns the world's third largest sugar refinery. In 2000, he went back to the cement business, but this time, importation of cement. And in 2003, he had the idea to go into manufacturing of cement. He started building the factory in 2003 and finished in 2007. At the time, Nigeria was producing 1.9 million tons of cement. He started with a 5 million tons capacity factory. Fast forward to the present day, Dangote Cement is the largest cement manufacturer in sub-Saharan Africa and operates in several African countries. In 2013, he unveiled early plans for an oil and gas refinery, when in full operation is expected to have the capacity to process about 650,000 barrels per day of crude oil, making it the largest single-train refinery in the world. In January 2023, he announced the completion of the factory's power plant. The inauguration is expected to take place at the end of the first quarter of 2023. The Dangote Group consists of over 13 companies and businesses and employs over 30,000 people. Some people might argue that he built all his wealth because he came from a wealthy family. Well, that helps a lot, but Aliko Dangote built on the wealth of his family and took it to another level. Some people in his position will depend on the family's wealth, enjoy life, and even squander what has been given to them.
David, one thing that I'm very, very proud of is that I did not inherit any money from my father. I built everything from scratch to where I am.
So your father died when you were relatively young?
Yeah, he died when I was 8 years old.
So he didn't leave in his will a large amount of money for you?
Well, he left in the will, but whatever that I inherited from him, which means in assets, I gave that one to charity since then.
Also discussed are his political associations and how that has helped in the success of his businesses. He had this to say.
What do you respond to those who criticize you and say that you've benefited greatly of government favoritism, which has allowed you to collapse all competition and small business in Nigeria and establish yourself as a sole importer or manufacturer? What do you respond to those critics?
Well, first of all, there was never any time where we were the sole manufacturers or sole importers or whatever of any item. It has never ever happened, only maybe during when we took risk. Let me give you an example. There was nothing like sugar industry in Nigeria, and everything was imported, maybe small, the farming side. We took a risk in 1999 and opened up a refinery which we built with about $250 million then. Okay, so if we are the only ones having that sort of refinery, nobody was stopped. How can you say that somebody has given us a license? We are not giving a license to operate alone. Okay, what normally government will roll out, like right now, let me give you an example. Government has rolled out their agricultural policy on self-sufficiency in sugar. Okay, nobody is investing, maybe two of us. So tomorrow, when we are successful, somebody will rise up and say, I don't know, this is a monopoly. It's not a monopoly because nobody has been stopped. That's number one. Number two, government has always been begging people to come and invest. So if we heed the call of government to go and invest, is that a problem with that?
Ultimately, Dangote was able to turn a local commodities trading business into a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Aliko Dangote's journey to fortune is certainly not a rags to riches story, but that doesn't mean it was devoid of challenges. If we want to build something great, we should know it doesn't happen overnight. It requires a lot of work and overcoming a lot of challenges. When we start seeing success, we should reinvest in the business and not focus on spending on things that won't add to the business. One thing I like the most about Aliko Dangote is his humility and his knowledge of his numbers.
It was my upbringing from my late grandfather really helped me quite a lot. He was a very, very humble person, and sometimes he used to drive himself, and that's what I do now. Even on weekends right now, once I finish this interview with you, I won't go out with the driver. I'm going to go alone and I'm going to drive myself. I mean, I feel safe, and really I don't have any issues, with that. It's always better to be humble. They say that no condition is permanent. So I want to always run my life, whether I have money or I don't have money, I can run it, and it's true. I'm sure your life is more expensive to run than mine.
I don't know about that.
In the words of Aliko Dangote, in the journey of entrepreneurship, tenacity of purpose is supreme. For those that will be ready to do the work with utmost determination, cancel out all distractions and focus on your goals, I say to you, greatness is coming.